Windows down, scattered clouds, smell of spring outside. Open road, you sitting close. Let's go somewhere far away.
So, in this video I'm going to do a little bit of a tour of some of the things that we've worked on the boat, some of the things we've installed, and so we're still up here in Hampton, Virginia, and it's nice and sunny out today, but it's a little cold, probably in the 40s, something like that. At night it's been getting pretty cold. We had power out a couple weeks ago. I'm going to go over some of what we do with generators. But anyway, so I'm going to show you some of the stuff we've done. I'm in the cockpit here, so we're kind of lived in here because we're staying for a little bit. But I'll show you the Autopilot. Okay, so this is the new Autopilot that we installed. So we installed a CPT Autopilot. This is the motor box. And it's a wheel pilot, belt driven. And the control box is over here. It's got all the controls for the Autopilot. And so we really like this option. The people at the company were really cool. And we had so many problems with our Garmin Autopilot that we decided, let's just install a second Autopilot so we always have backup. Because again, on sailboats, redundancy is one of the most important things. And so we did a ton of hand steering from Pensacola down into the Keys, all the way up the East Coast. Our Autopilot would work sometimes, and then other times it wouldn't. And so we only had our Autopilot occasionally. And so we've done a ton of hand steering. And anybody that knows sailing, man, you're doing a crossing, even just a couple, 2 nights or whatever, trying to hand steer the whole time is just brutal. So this could change sailing for us tremendously. We've traveled over 2,500 nautical miles hand steering the majority of the way, and my God, if we have 2 working Autopilots, our life will be a whole different story. And maybe we can finally relax into this a little bit and enjoy this, because it's stressful trying to hand steer. But anyway, so that's the new Autopilot. Price comparison to, like our Garmin, this is a fraction of the cost. It's still expensive, but it was a great option, and it's supposed to be a strong Autopilot. So I talked to one of the guys here at this marina, and he's got this Autopilot installed on I think it's a 45 or 50 foot Cat, and he loves it. And he says it's plenty strong enough for his big Cat. So for our boat, it should be good. We've seen it steering much larger boats, but it's supposed to be a nice strong motor. And we got some spare parts, spare belts, there's some pins that are designed to break off if there's a problem, and we've got spares of all that. So this is a pretty cool option, and we can't wait to see how it is. We haven't permanently mounted the control panel, mainly because we need to do a sea trial and make sure that it's going to function the way we need it to. But it's pretty much permanent. We've got to, really tie these wires down and all that. Once we know for sure that's where that thing's going to sit. But we're pretty sure that's going to be the spot. We think we fixed our Garmin Autopilot. We put on, since we've been here, we installed a new rudder sensor. We think that's what was causing us all the problems, because the rudder would lose calibration, and then we'd lose our Autopilot. And we'd have to recalibrate everything, which was just a pain in the butt. We learned to use the Autopilot just for like 20 minutes to a half hour at a time to give us a break in between things. But, if you've done any kind of sailing, you want to have a good Autopilot. So our Garmin made it all the way across the Gulf to Pensacola, 5 days, and but then it just sort of took a dump on us. And but we'll see how that thing works. Hopefully we fixed it. Anyway, there's our new Autopilot, and we'll show you some of the other stuff that we've done. So another project that we did is we made covers for things. So we made covers for like our propane tanks. Our propane tanks sit in crates, and we put covers on them so that we can hopefully preserve those crates. We made a cover for our new portable generator, which is sitting here. This is a really cool portable generator. So this is our new portable generator. I'm not getting anything from Pulsar for showing this, but I think it's a pretty cool generator. It's 4,000 watts, and it runs on either gas or propane. And if you're on a boat and traveling, you know that trying to pour gas into something is very difficult, and on top of that it's dangerous. So we can hook it right up to propane, and these are the specs on it. So it's 3,700 peak watts, 3,000 rated watts on propane, and then it's a little bit higher on gas. But for us, that's perfect. We've always got a couple of bottles of propane on the back of the boat. We can hook this up. It's quiet. We can be inside the boat. It's quiet. We can be running anything we need to run, especially the water maker, which is one of the main reasons we got it. Our big generator took a dump on us, and although we've got the part coming tomorrow, but this will give us backup. The big generator is very loud when you're inside the boat, but it'll run the whole boat, and it'll run just about everything. It's a 6 kilowatt generator, so it's 6,000 watts compared to this one that's rated about half that. We had a 2,000 watt generator, but it was actually larger than this one, and it was only, gas generator. So this one's actually pretty small and light, and it's really the size of a 2,000 watt generator, but it packs a 4,000 watt, capacity. So this is a pretty cool generator. And it plugs right into our shore power cord. So we can actually plug that right into our cord, right into the boat, and power the boat with it. This will run our AC, our heaters, and most important, our water maker. So we have a high output water maker that runs on 110. It pumps out about 36, 37 gallons an hour. And so we only have to run the water maker maybe once a week for about an hour, hour and a half to produce all the water that we need for the week. So having the backup generator and something quiet is going to be nice. But anyway, that's our new generator, and we really like this thing. So one of the cool things that we did with this cover, I originally made this cover for a 2,000 watt generator that I had, and the 2,000 watt generator was actually larger and heavier than this 4,000 watt generator, which is super cool. So we built handle access into the cover, and then that gets covered like so, and then we have this second cover here, hopefully to keep water out, because this will sit on the back of the boat, and there's going to be times when we're in large waves or large surf where that thing's going to get hit with water, and so we want it covered real good. But so anyway, that was one of the cool little added things we did with the cover. So these are some of the other covers that we made since we've been here. We've got two coolers that sit back here on the back of the boat, and these hold all of our dock lines and some extra anchor road for our spare anchor, and a bunch of other stuff. So we made covers for these because these are coolers and they will deteriorate, so this will help keep the sun off of them. This is another propane tank that we made a cover for, and of course that's sitting in a crate, But we have one that goes on this side, we have one that goes on this side, and so we have two propane tanks that sit back here. And then we also have another cooler that sits toward the bow of the boat, kind of centered here. And so we made a cover for that. We also made new blue covers for the fuel cans, but we haven't put them on because we're trying to get all the life out of these old covers that we made. But those will get put on there probably right before we leave here. This cooler holds things like oil, motor oil, coolant for the engine, and a handful of other things. There's a fire extinguisher in there. Anyway, there's a few things in that thing, and so we made that cover. So another thing that we did while we were here is we cleaned this bimini top and we resealed it. So we used some Starbright waterproofing, I don't know what it is, waterproofing liquid, I guess. I don't know what you call it. But we bought a gallon of it, and we only used maybe a quarter or third of a gallon to do the whole bimini, so we got a bunch more still. And so we waterproofed the whole top before we put these panels on. And that's helped a lot. So we had just a little bit of leaking before we did it. We have a couple of drips now that I'll end up, they're just on some of the seams, so I'll take some seam sealer and I'll seal those. But the waterproofing stuff seemed to work really good. And we even waterproofed these covers with the same stuff. So that was another project we did. It didn't take but a couple hours to do. But anyway, we used the small rollers on those, and that worked real good. So another project that we did while we've been here, we had these solar panels, and they weren't incorporated into the boat system. They now are incorporated. So as you can see here, this is going in, and I think you can see that. But this now goes into right straight into our battery bank. And so we've got 400 watts on top of the bimini here. Originally we were just charging separate lithium batteries with these, with a separate system that wasn't incorporated into the boat. And that worked good. When we were anchored, we could cook off the lithium batteries or run, anything we wanted really, lights and computers and all that. But now this is incorporated into the boat. So we have 400 watts on the back of the boat, back here on our davit. So these panels are 400 watt panels, and those have been incorporated into the boat for a long time. And we've got a charge controller for that, a very expensive charge controller for these panels. An Outback charge controller. Look it up. It's, I don't know, $500. Something crazy like that. On these panels, we put in a separate charge controller for these, and that charge controller was pretty inexpensive and works pretty good. But so that's another one of the projects that we did. Another project that we did was we added the pole. So if you've ever done any long distance sailing, there's times you need a whisker pole. This is actually a spinnaker pole that we'll use as a whisker pole. We got the pole for, what was it, $200? So we had a rigger come out and check all our rigging, and he had this pole, and so he sold it to us for $200. And so now we have a pole we can use for downwind sailing or reaching, and it'll work pretty good. We can pull the jib out probably about 70%, and so we could do wing on wing or whatever we need to stabilize the head sail. And so we're real happy we got this pole set up. He set it all up for us for a couple $100. So altogether it was, I don't know, $400, $500 for the pole and the rigging and everything we needed for it. So he was super cool and worked with us, and we really liked the guy. He's helped us with a bunch of stuff. And but anyway, so another project we did was these lights. So we these lights were all beat up and being held together by tape. So I took some epoxy and we kind of restructured the lights with some epoxy and then repainted them. And we put all new LED bulbs in these, which is great. So we did this one too. So that one was kind of rebuilt with epoxy. And it has a new LED bulb in it. So they're super bright and very low energy consumption. So we kind of rebuilt those. We actually have spare lights for both the bow and the stern, but we don't want to use them unless we absolutely have to, so we're going to get as much life out of the ones we have as we can. The other lights that we changed out to LED is the steaming light and the spreader light up there. So the steaming light's been changed out to a good LED, and then also the deck light up there. That's a pretty serious new LED light. We had a halogen light that uses a ton of energy, and now that we changed it out, it's using a fraction of what it did, and it's super bright, so it's way brighter than it was. But we changed those out, so that was a good project. We still got to work on fixing our anchor light. It's all loose up at the top of the mast, and I've been up there a couple times trying to figure it out. I've got to go up again. I talked to the rigger, and he gave me some ideas on how to deal with that thing. So I've been up that mast, I don't know, I've been up that mast probably 8 or 10 times now doing different projects. But I'll go up again, and at some point we'll do a video on how we climb the mast. We were taught by a guy in Galveston, I'm sorry, in Kema, when we used to be in Kema, Texas, and he came from a family of rock climbers, and his son is a competitor in rock climbing, a pretty serious competitor, and he taught us how to climb the mast. And so his method was pretty cool because I don't need anybody to carry me up the mast. It's just all with climbing gear, and I can go up by myself. And I've gone up in probably 30 knots of wind when we were anchored, and I felt plenty safe. But at some point we'll go over that, how we do all that. So one of the repairs that we made right here on our throttle lever, this bolt right here broke off. And it broke off at some point when we were coming up the ICW. It was just corrosion, the whole head broke off, but the lever was still holding okay. It was a little loose, but it worked okay. We've since replaced that bolt, that screw there, and also this screw on this side for the reverse and forward lever, and we've replaced that. So those are all new. But even coming in here to this marina, I was concerned that if I lost the ability to use this throttle, it'd be pretty concerning as you're coming into a marina. So we actually got towed in here by Towboat US, and they brought us in, and then we repaired this when we got here because I just did not want to risk running into boats, because I've done that once and it's no fun. So, but anyway, that's another repair that we did. So one of the other projects that we did while we've been here is we went around all of our stainless steel, all on the davit here, and all along where the lifelines are, the stanchions, up on the front of the boat, the bowsprit. We polished all the stainless that's on the bimini. So we went around and polished all the stainless steel and then sealed it with a sealer. which is some pretty cool stuff that we found out about. I'll probably show that product. But yeah, so all the stainless steel has been polished, and that was a big plus because it needed it. It's still looking pretty good right now. So another project that we did that we thought was important is on our starter, every once in a while when we're up in the cockpit, we go to start the engine and our starter won't kick over. And we play around with the switch a little bit and then suddenly it'll kick over. And but it's disconcerting sometimes because you never know when you need to start the engine. So what we did is we added a remote starter, which is this guy, and you just hit that button. This thing I can hook up real quickly. It's hooked up permanently. Well, I won't say permanently, but it's always hooked up to the this is our generator battery, which we actually have float charging right now, just to maintain it. But we hooked it up to the generator battery, and then I can plug it right into this guy that I set up this little plug. And so we put the other end of this thing here right into that plug, and we can quickly set it up, start the engine. And so the remote starter we thought was a good idea, and I can run down here real quick, hook it up, start the engine, and we've always got backup on the starter. The other thing is this is our charge controller for our solar panels that are up on the Bimini. So this is a pretty inexpensive charge controller, maybe 40, 50 bucks. But I've used this exact charge controller for a while and it works pretty well. It's nothing special, but it works fine. Our Outback charge controller is over here, and that thing's expensive. But we couldn't incorporate the panels on the Bimini. They run on a different voltage than our panels on the back. So we had to install a separate charge controller for the Bimini solar panels, so that's why we have this. But anyway, that's another project we did. That's our big generator there that took a dive on us. And we have the part, should be here tomorrow hopefully, which is another big plus of being in the marina, is we can get stuff sent to us. So that's a great generator, but my God, the parts are expensive.